We are living in a world today in which there is a claim, not an insurance claim, but almost. There is a claim that there are three approaches to artificial intelligence. AI for society, AI for profit, and AI for control. Pretty easy to know which belongs to which region of our world. Now, Charles de Gaulle in the 50s realized that if France wanted to stay competitive in a world between the United States and Soviet Union, they had to create their own nuclear power. And artificial intelligence has a very similar impact in the world moving forward. It will have a strong impact in the fate of nations. And that's what I want to talk to you about today. As we move to the next stages in what we call today artificial intelligence, we know we have a lot to do. There is a lot to do. And I basically founded Miss AI, and I am the Chief Enthusiasm Officer. What we do at Miss AI is try to enable 10 million women in Europe with AI. That means through awareness, education, and role model creation, so that women too can participate into the shaping of our future. But because I worked 20 years in this space, I claim to be a realist. Mostly I am an optimist. And let me talk to you a bit about the definitions of AI. Most of you probably have seen at least one definition, because even the deep tech experts cannot really get around one single definition. There are multiple ways to look at artificial intelligence. My favorite quote I read this morning on the way here is that submarines cannot swim. And claiming that machines can think is almost like claiming submarines can swim. However, we can use our human senses to see, feel, and hear artificial intelligence. This is how AI looks like. It's basically code. It is mathematics. It is a few lines of code. With just 5 lines of code, due to the programming progress in the last few years, you can create a meaningful algorithm. A military drone has 3 million lines of code, which is 3 times as many as in bacteria. That means that by at least one metric, humankind has created technology that is more powerful than life itself. Now I want you to please close your eyes. Close your eyes and listen. This is how AI sounds like. This was a computer-generated jazz improvisation. How many people thought that this is computer-generated? A few, yes. You see, for the untrained ear, it is good enough that we don't notice it's not computer-generated. And for the trained ear, you probably noticed you have more musical understanding. But very soon, the technology will basically ensure that even the trained ear will not be able to distinguish between computer-generated algorithmic music and human creativity. And I want to give you, in the spirit of this wonderful summit here, a few examples of creative artificial intelligence made in Europe. There is a company in France called Deep Bach. They are creating chorales in the style of Bach using deep learning. And there is a company in Munich that is creating emotion AI. Their name is Tawny. This company uses biometrics data and complex deep learning to create products and services that provide emotion AI, which means, for example, they are measuring your biorhythmic KPIs, and they are basically showing you in what emotion state you are finding yourself right now. And that is something we've seen in the demo before as well. We're going more and more into this area of making technology a lot more human than it used to be. And basically, this is how AI feels like. How many people feel machine learning, artificial intelligence are more like the cute robot Peppa, which you see here on the left? How many of you think it's cute, it's nice, it's good, it's great for our future? Barely 2-3 people? On the opposite, how many people feel it's more like this Terminator on the other side, a bit scary? It's going to destroy jobs. It's going to create distress in our society. A few people, so you're realists as well. Very good. So the importance of understanding the dystopian and utopian views and really educating our society is in our hands. You are creating the future, and it's our job to explain to everyone in our society that it is neither left nor right, it is just math. We can understand it, we shape it, we create it, and it's humans who are doing that. And I don't think machines will take that over very soon. In fact, if you look at the latest work that is being done in this space, machine learning and deep learning is a thing of the past, right? People are working now on neuromorphic computing systems using quantum mechanics to simulate brain's activity, sensations, and connections. We only know 1% of our brains today. How could machines think tomorrow? So it's us generating that worth and wealthiness. Now, when you look at Europe, where are we standing today in this space? One of the claims Europe is making is basically that we want to drive ethical, responsible, explainable artificial intelligence. What does that mean? It means that people really want to have trustworthy products that they can use to enhance their lives. And let me ask you, how many people here are using voice assistants today? Siri, Cortana, thank you. Who knows what Q is? Q is a genderless voice assistant because there was so much conversation about should a voice assistant have a female voice or a male voice. Well, guess what? You can program that in almost every product on the market today. But there is also Q, which is basically providing a neutral voice for those that are interested in that. Now, BlaBlaCar, My Taxi, Booking.com. When you use Booking.com, how many times do you have the feeling the prices are changing all the time? Yeah, and that's dynamic pricing, which also in the insurance industry is a very important element. Dynamic pricing should be used in a trustworthy, ethical way to help people really find the best and not to just create profits. But that's where we have to create that society and have the awareness. And now for Europe, for the future, what's important really is to understand that the future of the technology is in the hand of the end user, and not in the hand of companies or governments or anyone else. It's really in the hand of the end user. And that is where we can make a huge difference. And what I wanted to show you now, we work with a very multidisciplinary team at Miss AI. We are not only technical and business people, but we also neuroscientists, anthropologists, sociologists, philosophers, artists, doctors, combining all these brains together to ask the right questions and to really make sure technology is combining the views of the entire society. Because we don't want a world dominated just by engineering. It should really be combined in all together. So we looked at what AI made in Europe should do. How can we get there? How can we make our countries and our continent competitive? We know that there are about 35,000 AI companies in the world today, But basically only a few are in Europe. And when you look at Europe, you basically have UK, France, and Germany make up about 50% of the AI company in the world. When you look at how many of those companies are founded by female founders, that's below 5%. So it's about 270 companies founded by female founders. And we'll talk about why that is important in a second. But in our research, we looked at other elements to make this world competitive and worth of living for everyone. And we defined 5 elements. One is really, we have to be optimistic, especially in some countries, and I would say also in Germany, really important to look at courageously at what can be done today. How can we shape the future of AI together today? So work really in interdisciplinary teams, but most importantly, talk, just like we've seen here, talk about your AI projects, the companies, and the results. Not so much about the process, how we're getting there, but really show optimistically, look into the future, how can we really make a difference is by showing the role models we have today. So that was one of the important elements. The other one is courage to take risks. We cannot shape this area without taking big risks, and it's also very important to invest in the right companies at the right stage, but also take the risk to go and do that. The other one is ambition. We should find our unique selling propositions, whether you're a company, an individual, or a continent, a country. What are the unique points that you can make in this space? What are special about what we can do? And how ambitious are you to win in that space? That's a really important aspect in having an ambition to create a bigger world. We have to educate and drive that trust in the entire society, just like we've seen earlier as well. And we have to really make sure we include everyone. And this is not about creating, networks just of women pushing other women or men pushing other men. It's about humans really propelling and finding the right talent and going into the right direction together. And speed, obviously, is really important. It is quite late for Europe, as we know. So we need to move fast, but we need to also move really, really thoughtfully. It's not just the speed for the sake of it. Now, the 3 requirements we found, and a couple of important KPIs, is we want to create 1 million jobs in Europe by 2025. There are many, many initiatives across governments, public and private society, academia. We want to move from 1% women in AI to 5%. Why is that important? Because we want to reflect the entire society and societal needs. We want to keep the talent here in Europe. So ask yourselves, how do you keep your talent in your country today, rather than having people going to other regions of the world to make more money there? So it's important to look at that. Most importantly, it's about mindset. It is really viewing this space as an enabler and not a risk, and viewing that as loving risk rather than being afraid. Diverse communities are important. I hope you all have a diverse community created in your companies, but also in your supportive network. And what's important really is regulation in Europe needs to be smart, needs to be done in an easy way, not just for the sake of regulating. Money, so important. Let's try to have 25% unicorns in the next 5 years. Increase that, basically doubling that from 11% of today. We know today we only have one single company that is valued at more than $100 billion in Europe, and that is SAP. We do have Spotify and Zalando and others that together, just Spotify and Zalando make 42 billion together. And when you think about Microsoft just valued at 1 trillion recently, that's where the approach should be. And what's important really is to have pan-European research centers. However, I also want to make sure we know, while this space is developing really quickly, diversity is not. Diversity is still not where it should be. And we should really work together to be all-inclusive, because AI isn't about technology. It is about people, and it is about augmenting our human capacity. Therefore, we have to have the broadest diversity ever, not just in terms of gender, but diversity of thought, of education, of language. All that needs to go into our thinking. Diversity of ethics, of policy, and of values. And Europe is praising themselves of having the diversity of human rights, especially in this space. So it's important to take that cultural heritage with us and basically create a world for all of us to be successful. And I wanted to just leave you with one to-do, because as Einstein said, it is more important to have a vision than to be knowledgeable. There is an online class called Elements of AI, which was created in Finland. And if you haven't taken it, please take it and have everyone take it. It's the basics of AI for people to understand what this is, to remove fear and scary scenarios, but also to create a realistic approach to it. So if you haven't heard about Elements of AI, check it. It's an online free course to do that. And I'm only saying this because I met those people that they created at the university in Helsinki, and it's really, really good. So make sure you take it, your CEO takes it, and everyone else in your company is taking it as well. So thank you, and please, let's create and co-shape this future together in the spirit of driving more diversity and inclusion. Thank you.